Welcome to the Resiliency of the Human Spirit podcast, where we share all about human triumphs for the collective's healing and empowerment. I am your host, Priscilla Hanley. My guest today is Margie Breault. Margie is a foundational wisdom root teacher, an energy healer, and a medium. She is an illuminator of paths, a mentor of transformation, and a guide to inner empowerment. With a deep-rooted passion for holistic well-being and personal growth, Margie has dedicated her life to helping individuals break free from limiting beliefs and step into their authentic selves. Without further ado, I will bring Margie on right now. Hi, Margie.
Hi, Priscilla. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Me too. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be with us today. So, we connected a few weeks ago where you shared your personal journey with me. And I would just have you start to share your personal story with our audience on how and the events that transpired in your life to lead you to become a multifaceted energy healer and coach. You have had a very interesting journey, so I'm thrilled for you to be here and share your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am really excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. And we're all really multidimensional beings, and the more we can awaken that, the more exciting it is on our journey. Um, so that really started with my own healing journey and my own transformation story. So I'd love to start there. Really early on in life, I was taught a lot of things about myself that disconnected me from who I really was. And like as early as the age of 4, my mother was having me look in the mirror and tell myself I was a liar whenever I might say something that would make her have to take accountability. That accountability really scared her. And so was a target really early on in life. And something that I've learned now as an adult and on my own healing journey is that your light is going to irritate a lot of unhealed people. And so early on, that was really true for my relationship with my mother. And so I became both a target and a scapegoat for a large portion of my childhood. And so I was taught a lot of things about myself and made a lot of agreements that I didn't know I was agreeing to. Like I was a liar, or I liked to create drama and I liked chaos, or I did things for attention. And, I was the cause and source of pain. And because of a lot of those limiting beliefs and those oppressive ideas that I agreed to, that I didn't know I didn't have to agree to, it really caused me to act out in those ways. So, as much as I told myself I was a liar, I eventually became a liar because I was so used to operating in chaos. Well, I operated in chaos. Because was so afraid to be the cause and source of pain, I was constantly not able to take accountability. And it also really disconnected me from the truth of who I really am. So I grew up really not knowing how to identify my emotions because I didn't think my emotions were ever correct. I always thought I was being manipulative when I would even try to identify what they were. I was in and out of therapy really early on, and that armed me with the ability to like really sound self-analytical. Like I really could sound like I had it together as I got older, but I really was still very limited on the inside. I didn't have tools. I wasn't releasing that trauma because I was still operating in so many limiting beliefs and so many oppressive ideals that I was still agreeing with unknowingly, that I thought there was a defect with who I was because of the way that I was living. And so in my early 20s, a really wonderful healing ally got put in my life. And I had been speaking with an old abuser, speaking with an old bully. And one of the patterns that I used to operate in when I would meet this oppressive energy, that bully energy, is that I would go into fawning. And so what fawning is we hear a lot about fight and flight, but then there's also freeze and fawn.
Mhm.
So freezing is when you stop and like imagine like a kid getting yelled at and they just clam up and they don't move. Well, fawning is when you realize that you feel like someone might be that predator, and you begin to compliment them or agree with their stories, and you try to appease them so that they don't prey on you. And
Mhm.
so a lot of times in my life when I was meeting that energy, I was fawning, so that I wouldn't become prey. So when I was speaking with one of my childhood abusers, I immediately went into fawning, trying to appease this person and going into their narrative with them and trying to get it so that they wouldn't cause me more harm. And my healing ally, her name's Erica, she sat me down one day and was like, listen, I love you, but this conversation that you're having with this person is not healthy for you. It's not good for you. It's not serving you. And I really hope you get help, because I love you and I don't want to see you causing yourself more pain. And she introduced me to Reiki. So that was my first time really starting to get energy medicine done for myself. And so even though I was getting Reiki done, I felt great when I was on the table. I felt phenomenal. I was like, felt all of the energy moving, but I still wasn't given tools to go back into my life and then operate differently. I was still not getting deeper with myself and understanding those limiting beliefs that I agreed to, or those triggers and traumas that cause those limiting beliefs, and that I could be released from them. And so I continued to take class. I actually ended up taking my Reiki master's class. So I took Reiki 1, 2, and Reiki master teacher training. And that was really when I started to operate differently in the world, because I was starting to learn the theories behind things and going deeper with them. And pretty soon after that, I found the community that I now train with and teach with. And I started learning about natural law. And my first segue in was learning about the law of polarity. And like in this world where we live in, like positive vibes only, good vibes only, learning that I didn't have to actually operate there anymore with like this high-pitched customer service voice and talking a million miles a minute and never really like feeling heavy and dense emotions, or what someone might classify as negative emotions. Um, I didn't have to live that way. And that blew my mind. It was like a light bulb went off. I felt every cell in my body spark. I wanted to know every single thing I could about how I could live differently, understanding that about the world, but also understanding that about myself. And so that really started me on a true path of truth and finding out how to move differently through the world while connecting in with all parts of myself and being able to get to those roots and release from them, and no longer wearing all of that trauma as armor, but actually being released from the heaviness that came with it. So that's how I started. That's that's my story of A to B in a nutshell.
Wow, so much to unpack here. So, first of all, let me start with your mom. Do you have a relationship with your mom right now?
I do not.
Okay. And how was the process like for you in forgiving your mom?
Yeah, so forgiving her came with a lot of learning about compassion and learning to hold that space for myself, and knowing that I can forgive someone and still have boundaries. I can forgive someone and they still don't need to be in my space,
Mhm.
um, especially if they are not on their own journey towards change. And something that I often say to people is that when we're encouraging others to be on their own healing path, their healing path is never going to look like ours. It's not going to be the same. They're not going to be doing the same things. They're not going to be at the same pace. They might be going in a totally different direction. It's just the actually getting on the path, um, that I think is really important. And for me to have a relationship with my mom that would be rooted in safety, safety for myself and safety for my kids, would really be, she would have to start to be on that healing path so that she could start to take accountability for um, some things recent and some things in the past. And so knowing that I could release her with that love and compassion and always holding that light place for her, and
Mhm.
I always, if I'm going to teach a class, whether I'm teaching a class, learning in a class, I'm going to a meditation, I'm going to a healing session, I keep that highest light, that optimal imagination of my mom on her healing journey, and me and her being able to have a relationship. And the more I can optimally imagine that and hold that space, just like when this is the law of attention and law of attraction kind of working together. So the law of attention is like where our attention goes, energy flows, and then we attract more of it.
Mhm.
And that's working the law of attention and law of attraction together. And so if I focus on that optimal imagination of my mother, I'm helping to create that to come into reality
Right.
versus if I stay in this place of like, she's never going to heal, she's never going to change. I hold the other because I want the other to be true too. Not true too. I want that to be true. And so, really knowing that I can hold that and forgive her and know that the person in which she's acting right now is on survival mode. I have so much compassion for the person on survival mode because they're suffering. There's so much suffering in that survival mode, whether they want to admit it or not. And so that leaves me to hold that space for her and allow the journey to go how the journey's going to go with lots of love and compassion and forgiveness, because the forgiveness is really not for her, it's for me.
Mhm. Right. And that is so profound what you just shared because, a lot of us come from dysfunctional families and, no judgment on our parents or grandparents or people in the family. They are doing the best they can with the level of consciousness that they're holding.
Yes.
So I like the fact that you talk about compassion. I mean, I also have a rocky relationship with my parents. So when I do Reiki or my meditation, I try to send love and light and compassion to them because like you said, they're on their own personal journey, and it's not our place to kind of like mold them into a person that we want them to be, right? We just have to let them be on their own journey. And if they come around and they want to change, that's all well and good. But if they don't, that's okay too.
Because it's nothing personal. It's
Right,
nothing, it's actually vibrational. It has nothing to do with you that someone else can't come to. Right? It's they don't know that they have the choice yet. They're still on survival mode.
right.
And so that, you know, we hold a lot of love for that. And compassion truly is not suffering with, but it's the liberation of suffering, right? If we hold so much compassion for others, not only are we liberating our own suffering instead of staying in a place of worry and fear and judgment over their inability to come on the journey too, we're holding space and compassion and we're helping to liberate that suffering by putting that love into action, because that compassion allows us to hold that optimal imagination over judgment or anger. It allows us to continue to weigh show and move differently in the world instead of being in that heavy and dense place with them. It allows us to hold that highest coherent frequency, which really transforms all that lower and dense energy.
Totally agree. Now, let me ask you the next question. What is a foundational wisdom root teacher?
That's a great question.
That's very interesting.
Thank you. So this is a new arena that I'm in. So all of my teachings, I work with the Svaha Yoga and Synergy of Sound Academy, and they're orally transmitted and downloaded through their founder, Lisa Ashwari Murphy. So all of my teachings come directly from her as the founder. And it's something that I've learned along my journey is that um, when we find ourselves to be those foundational teachers, it's really about teaching people the base, the foundation, which is when I talk about natural and universal law, like the law of attention or the law of attraction, that is a foundational wisdom. That is the foundational truth that lives in all living, breathing things, as above, so below, like here on this planet Earth and in the galaxy above.
Mhm.
And so when I say I'm a foundational root teacher, it's a title that was given to me by my teachers and my mentors. Is I do hold that foundational sound body of knowledge, and I do teach it to others, not only through doing podcasts like I'm doing with you right now, but when I'm working with clients, when I'm talking on my radio show, when I am teaching workshops, I'm teaching other people, I'm showing them through my own way of doing, how to move differently in the world. And so when you think foundational wisdom root teacher, think like a lama, like Dalai Lama, right?
Mm.
Lamas are root teachers. Um, so holding that foundational wisdom and allowing yourself to own that power, which is something that I've been doing my whole journey, is learning how to own my power. And so when they told me I was a foundational root teacher, I was like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yes, we're sure."
Good for you.
Now you need to own it too. So part of me owning that is putting that in my title and allowing myself to say, like, yeah, I am a foundational root teacher, and I do hold that sound body of knowledge. And that was passed down to me from my teachers and my mentors who, it was passed down to them. And so it's a really cool thing to be able to hold and to have as a title.
Nice. And so if somebody's interested in learning foundational wisdom root teachings, can you teach them or do they need to go to a specific school?
No, so I can definitely teach some foundational root wisdom. And a lot of people wonder, like, where can I get more teachings more than what you teach? And so the Svaha Yoga and Synergy of Sound Academy is where I take all of my classes and the academy that I teach with. As a community, we call it's a Shambhala community of light, an
Mhm.
enlightened community. And so anyone who wants to learn more than what I have to offer can always go there for that sound body of knowledge. So there you can learn everything from the foundations of natural law, energy medicine, which was created by Lisa Shwari Murphy. It's a combination of many healing modalities. You can learn to become a sound healer, sound conductor, so you can get down sound concerts and hold space for a lot of people at the same time. You can learn how to do past life regressions or be an energy for life coach, which a lot of these certifications I have. And then going through a shamanic healing series to learn how to really tap into shamanic wisdom and earth energy. So a lot of herbal energy. And then there's also the ancient art of channeling, which is working through the ancient art of mediumship and psychic abilities.
Okay, you just said the magic C word, channeling. That's like my favorite topic of all time. So, okay, can you elaborate a little bit more on the ancient art of channeling? What is that all about?
Yeah, I would love to. So the ancient art of channeling is breaking down the hierarchy in between psychics and mediums and really bringing it back down to the way that original oracles, Aboriginal peoples, ancient peoples used to commune with formless energy. And so it's not just connecting in with someone who's passed beyond, it's working with all of those streams of consciousness that come back into that one stream. So that's connecting in with the rivers, that's connecting in
Mm.
with the lakes, that's connecting in with the planets, that's connecting in with the trees, that's connecting in with your dog, your cat. Like being able to connect in and channel from all of those streams of consciousness is really breaking down that ancient art of channeling and being able to bring it back into natural law, back into balance and rhythm with nature, and how we're really supposed to work in unison with that. Um, so the ancient art of channeling is taking away that hierarchy and taking away all of the power and control that might be in a lot of our teachings now and bringing it back down to that nature-based level. And so we work a lot with the original oracle, which is the earth. The earth is the original oracle. The 33 original oracles. Um, and then working with like the oracles of Delphi, working with those ancient goddesses and gods that held that power and that knowing and worked with that wisdom. So we work with gods and goddesses across many religions. We work with angels, we work with Isis, we work with Buddha, we work with so many different beings and forms and formlessness. But when you're working in that ancient art of channeling, you can really connect in journey with anything. You can journey through past lives. You can journey with the crystals and get messages from them. You can journey with the water. You can journey through the galaxy and really collect wisdom and knowledge and download that in through yourselves in a way that um, is really quite beautiful and transformational.
Yeah, I love that. When we think about channeling, we're always thinking about like our consciousness connecting up, right? Like the
Hmm.
galaxy or the universe. But then the whole source field is consciousness. So there's so much of consciousness on the earth plane, right? Like you said, the rivers, the oceans, the crystals, the minerals, animals.
I mean, if we were working in the law of correspondence, as above, so below. So everything that is above is also
Right,
below. So
right,
everything that the galaxy holds, the Earth holds, and everything that the galaxy and the Earth holds, we hold too, because we are everything and everything is us. So
right.
holding that as a knowing allows you to really move into that place of oneness, which is like that stream of consciousness, that place where we all are derived from, that quantum field.
So let me ask you this question. So how do we know that we are connecting with the source field versus the collective consciousness field of Earth? Is there like a different sensation in the energy or the quality of the energy?
So let's break it down between unified truth, like unified messages that are coming from the highest and best and the lightest place, and maybe ununified messages. Because if we're connecting into collective consciousness, we can still connect in with the highest state of that consciousness, right? We can ask for the most unified messages to come forward. And as we are empathetic people who are healers, we have the ability to have autonomy. We have free will to choose how we're going to receive those messages and where those messages are coming from. If we do not want heavy, dense messages coming from ununified sources of information, we don't have to accept them. And that's a choice that we get to make that people don't know that they can make. And so when we're connecting in with unified messages and getting that truth, that is going to feel different than if we're connecting into heavy and dense energy. If
Right.
we're connecting into something that is not pulling from that place of high coherent frequency. And so if you're pulling from that ununified place, that place that might be ununified and not moving in that highest light, that really global collected consciousness, that source energy, that message is going to feel different. There's going to be judgment in it. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
feel physically heavy. It's going to feel dense. And it might leave you feeling confused. And that is not coming from unified light. So if you're connecting into a message that seems like it's trying to control or have power, or there's judgment in it, even if it sounds the nicest, but it's judgmental, you're probably pulling from an ununified source
Mm-hmm.
of information. And so when you're connecting into that higher place, that place that holds the highest coherent frequency, which is that place of oneness, that place of love and compassion, when you're connecting into that highest good, that is going to feel different when you're getting those messages. Truth feels different than something other. Um, so tell me, when you know you're connecting into truth, what does it feel like for you?
Oh, it feels a lot of love and light, just lightness. I've felt universal love before, just for a couple split seconds. Um, and my goodness, it can just move me to tears in that couple seconds because it's so intense.
And does it feel heavy?
Not at all, no, no.
And but when you connect into with a message that might not be unified, what does that feel like?
It feels like very, I would say heavy and maybe troubling comes to mind, you
Yeah,
know?
like you get a sense of caution of like, oh,
Right,
maybe I shouldn't follow this guidance.
right,
This doesn't feel great. And so that's the difference between connecting into those two different energies. Is if you're connecting into something that's truth, it's not going to feel limitless. I mean, it's not going to feel limiting. It's
right,
not going to feel oppressive. It's going to feel, even if it's a message that's not, hunky dory, it's not going to feel heavy because it's truth. When you're connecting into a place that's ununified, that message and that guidance is going to feel, like you said, it's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel like, hmm, that doesn't sit right, because it
right.
doesn't, because it's not based in that place of balance. So those are the ways that you can know that you're connecting into those two different types of energies.
And I also think our higher self, our gatekeepers, right? Our higher selves. You talked about the natural law, the law of attraction. So if we apply that to channeling, we have to be in a high vibrational state before we channel, right? So that what's coming through to us is also high vibrational. So if you have issues and unresolved trauma or toxic emotions within your beingness, then the reflection that comes back through channeling is also going to be that energy that you're emitting, right?
If you've agreed to that, right? If you agree that that is what you're going to be bringing in, then yes, that's what will be coming in because you've agreed to it. But no matter what, if we agree that we're only going to connect with unified message, if that's our intention, if our intention is to connect in with a unified source, if our intention is to get the highest and best message, no matter what we might be going through, because as people and as healers, we're going to be going through things all the time, even when I'm giving out messages.
Mm-hmm.
It's staying rooted in my knowing that no matter what I'm holding, whether I am going through something myself, that I can still receive that message and that it's still going to come from that place of highlight intention. Now, but not everyone's taught that way. Not everyone's taught that they can have a moment and still deliver a unified message. They're also not taught that you don't just want to go up. You want to root in.
Right. Yeah.
You root before you rise. You root into that foundation before you rise up. So if you're rooted and you're handling something on your own, if you have a dense emotion that you're carrying, or a trauma that maybe is still in the alchemizing process, still hasn't, you completely haven't transformed from it yet. If you have the intention to connect in with energy and to receive messages from that stream, even if you're still not completely healed from something, you can still give a message from that place. You can still connect in with that with the intention. Now, if you don't know anything about that, if you are just vibrating at a really dense frequency and you're not doing any healing at all, and but you're still connecting in with that energy, then yes, of course, that's what you're going to attract.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about in how much you know and what your intentions are. Because it's not just about knowing, it's about acting in wisdom, because knowledge doesn't become wisdom until you're moving in your life through the way that you're learning and teaching about.
Right. Interesting point. So, can you share some quick techniques on how people can ground themselves before they, maybe they want to start channeling, or maybe they just want to ground themselves to feel more balanced?
Yeah, so there are really a lot of grounding techniques that you can do, and it's not a one size fits all. So what I like to do and what I do for grounding might not be what you want to do for grounding.
Right.
For me, grounding looks like doing a bioscalar meditation. It looks like literally using my imagination to connect in with the crystalline core of the earth. It looks like playing my didgeridoo, which is a grounding instrument. It looks like drumming. It looks like mantra. It looks like intentionally rooting into the heartbeat of the earth, that Schumann resonance, which is that pulse of the earth, and aligning my own vibration with that pulse, allowing myself to be nurtured by that rhythm, and then holding and embodying that rhythm myself. So some people like to go out in the outside and physically take off their shoes and stand in the grass. That is a form of rooting, really intentionally connecting in with nature and allowing yourself to move. And that really is allowing yourself to come into the electromagnetic pulse of the earth when you're rooting like that, when you're going on the side of, and you're earthing. It's called earthing. Some people really like to go for walks in nature. I love to hike. That's another way where I really
Mhm.
like to clear my mind and connect in, is going for hikes in the woods with my dogs. And so actually I'm going to be doing that today
Nice.
when we get off this podcast. And so it's really all about what practices are to be the most resonant for the person practicing.
You mentioned bioscalar
Hmm.
energy and
Yeah.
of meditation. What is that about?
Yeah, so scalar energy is the energy that Nikola Tesla was observing when he was here on the earth. And what he found is energy moves through vectors through all living and breathing things. And so bioscalar energy is really when we're because biology,
Hmm.
we're harnessing that energy intentionally in our own fields. And we can do that through sound and meditation, and using our imagination in that meditation to really activate that energy within us. So we have 5 electromagnetic vectors that run through us as human beings. And through meditation, with the vibration and the synergy of sound, I'm using my words, but I'm also using my imagination to help create that energy in myself, but also to give that energy to the people I'm working with and allow them to open up their minds and harness that energy in their own fields. Because energy moves a lot like lightning bolts, like vectors. Like I said, we
Mhm.
have 5 vectors that live in us. And that light is the light that lives in everything. It's the energy that moves through everything. It holds its own vibration, its own pulse. And so that Dr. Valerie Hunt, she spent her entire life researching how we harness this energy. And actually, it's really funny because she went into her studies to try to disprove that scalar energy and harnessing that energy was real. And what she actually found through her research that it very much was real. And so, if anyone wants to read more about it, you can go and find her book. It's called The Infinite Mind, The Science of Human Vibration by Dr. Valerie Hunt. And it breaks down all of her scientific research about how meditation and optimal meditation and some of these practices, for some people, it might be dance, other people, it's
Mm.
yoga. For me, I like to do sound and sing and mantra and meditation. It really allows you to bring that energy into your own field intentionally, and allows for you to have this continuous source of light coming into you.
And what are the 5 vectors in our body?
Yeah, so the first starts about a foot above your head. It
Oh,
runs down your central axis, which is your spinal column, and comes out about a foot below your feet. The second line runs from fingertip to fingertip and intersects at the belly button.
okay.
The third runs from front to back, same length as the first, and then left shoulder to right hip and right shoulder to left hip.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So
hmm
is this something that you teach as well?
So there's pieces of this in what I teach. I really utilize scalar energy in everything that I do, whether I am hosting a sound and meditation class, whether I'm doing a natural law workshop, if I'm having one-on-ones with a client, and the practices that I do for myself. I really am bringing in scalar energy and scalar light, and bringing in the science and the research behind that so that people know that it's not just something I
Yeah.
made up, but there's actually science and research and doctors and scientists who have done a lot of research behind it, and that it's a real energy that we can tap into.
It sounds like activating our own vortex, right? Biovortex.
Essentially,
Yeah, through meditation. Sometimes when I do my meditations, I actually can feel energy around me, like it's swirling.
because it is.
Yeah, I know it's interesting. It's very interesting. I took a 10-month channeling program last
Mhm.
year, and that was a very intense journey for me, but a good journey. Uh, and then when class ended, I guess I became activated. I want to say I started to feel energy around me within my body. I have started channeling. I channel light language for
Oh, that's
now.
beautiful.
Yeah, light language activated for me after class ended. So, you know, I'm just going with the flow. That's all you can do, right?
Absolutely. That's great. I actually got to hear some light language last night. It's such a beautiful thing to be in the presence of.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating for me because it's like I feel sometimes when I channel light language, I feel like it's a very ancient non-earth language that's coming through.
It is, and it's specific to the people who are delivering it. Like your light language isn't going to sound like someone else's light language
Right.
because it's unique to your sound signature. Yeah, it's a very cosmic language. It definitely comes from the stars.
Yeah, I agree. I want to move now to your mediumship. How did that start for you?
So my mediumship journey, intentionally, it's been the last couple of years that I've been really diving into that. But I know I've been a medium my whole life. I just was always taught like, oh, that's not true. You're not seeing that. You didn't smell that. You didn't hear that. And so really scent is my connection in, which for a long time, um, I think I was getting, not I think, I know, I was getting messages and they were coming through scent, and I would smell something and I'd be like, does anyone else smell that? Like, what's going on? Like, there's this weird, like, strange smell all of a sudden. And
Uh-huh.
I'd be like, no, you're crazy. Like, your nose is on the fritz. I don't smell that. And as I've been on my own path and really developing my gifts, I found that actually that was one of the ways that they were trying to deliver messages to me. That's one of the ways that formless energy was trying to connect in, was by giving me the scent and then wanting me to ask more questions. And so as I've really moved in on this ancient art of channeling and being able to open up and to develop those gifts for myself, and then allow others to teach others to develop theirs, is really through breaking down those limiting beliefs and those barriers and those obstacles, and knowing, like, actually I am a medium. Actually I am connecting in with those streams of consciousness. And so the more I started to get curious about that, the more I was given, and the less judgment or fear I have around it, the more that I get. And so typically when I'm going into a session, because we have free will and we have the control of our body, mind, and spirit, it is ours. When I'm getting a message, whether it's sent, whether it's a feeling, whether it's an emotion, whether it's something I'm hearing or something I'm seeing, if I'm not getting enough information, or I don't like the way the information is coming in, I can say, that's great awareness. Thank you so much. And this is something I'm saying internally, like,
Mm-hmm.
please give me the message in another way, or I need more information in a different way. And so sometimes I get some smells that I really don't want to smell, right? I don't want to smell what your body was smelling like when you
Yeah.
passed.
Oh
Please don't give me
gosh.
that smell, but that's a smell that sometimes comes in. And I have to say, cool, that's a great awareness. I smell that, but please give me the message in a different way. I don't want to receive that in that way. That, like, I was enough information.
Right.
Or, you know, when you're channeling and you get like that heavy and dense feeling on your heart, right? And it can comes out of nowhere. You can say, okay, that's a great awareness. I now know that someone's holding something there, right?
Mm,
Please give me the information another way. Give me a message verbally, give it, or through hearing, give me something that you're showing me, give me another sensation that's maybe not so uncomfortable for me to be feeling, so that I can understand something else and give a different message. So it's always knowing that no matter what's coming in, you can ask for more. And then trusting the more that comes in,
mhm.
trusting that you're getting that message, trusting that yourself to deliver the message, is really all about breaking down your own limiting beliefs and your barriers, and allowing yourself to move into that place of trust and intention.
So I take it all your clairs are activated.
All my clairs are now activated.
Nice.
Scent is still my strongest. So I'd get a lot of scent, and most of the time it's really great, but sometimes again you get those not so great scents that I don't want to be smelling. And that's only one way to get a message, right? Scent can't really give me a whole ton.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, for example, in one of the classes I was taking, in all of the classes that I do take, we practice with each other. And so we were practicing with each other, and all of a sudden I smelled shoe leather. And I'm like, that what an interesting thing for me to be smelling, but this is the message that I'm getting. Like, I'm getting shoe leather. And so I just said that to the person I was practicing with, and she was like, well, my grandfather actually worked in a shoe factory.
Oh wow.
And it was a masculine energy that I was getting. And I didn't know that. How would I know that? But that's the scent that I was getting.
Right.
And so it when you're it can still be funny that, like, oh, that's silly, I'm smelling shoe leather, but like, it's going to be resonant to the person that you're delivering it to, right? Because
Right.
if you're trusting yourself and you're delivering that message and saying what's really coming in, there's going to be something that it connects to. There's the reason that you're seeing, smelling, feeling, hearing, whatever that you are, and without judgment, allowing yourself to give those messages.
Right. So do you just connect with departed loved ones, or do you also connect with other energies through your mediumship?
Yeah, so when you're working in that stream of connecting in with all formless energy, and
Mm,
an energy that's unified to the light, that is all streams of consciousness.
okay.
So I can connect in with the galaxies above. I can connect in with the trees. I can connect in with the crystals. I can connect in with the waters. I can connect in with people who have departed. I can connect in with past lifetimes, doing past lifetime regressions, and moving into those different energies, and connecting into those streams of consciousness. And with a belief and an intention that I can do so, while first doing no harm, following that principle of ahimsa.
Wow, that's so cool. So let's talk a little bit about your business now. You do mediumship sessions, and what else do you offer to the collective?
Yeah, so I build mediumship into mostly everything that I do, as long as the people are open to receiving the messages. Um, and typically, unless it's like really something that they want, even if I'm delivering a message that maybe I'm not telling them I'm connecting in with someone, but I'm delivering the message in a way that's going to resonate with their energy field, whether it's like through the meditation that I did, or whether it's an affirmation that I give them at the end, or a practice that I intend for them to do. And so I do energy for life coaching with a focus on flow and manifestation coaching. So, really teaching people how to bring this rhythm and this balance into their life and teaching them to manifest from that place. So, I do both one on one and group coaching. I can do it in person and virtually. I
Mhm.
do transformational energy sessions, which is a combo, and all of the things are a combination of all of the tools in my tool belt. It's really what it's called for in the moment. But transformational energy sessions are more on a healing table. I'm using a lot more sound, and I'm doing some hands-on body work as well. I do group and one-on-one sound healing and meditation. I also offer packages for people who want packages. They know they want to buy more than one
Yeah.
session, but it comes with a whole lot of other perks. And then I also am on the radio, so people can connect in with me on the radio for free and hear some of the wisdom there if they're not quite ready to dive into healing. And then I also work with um, businesses and their teams to bring organizations into flow and start to help that energy and that collective move from the love of power into the power of love, which is another law, another natural law, the law of love. And that's I think that's all the ways. And I also teach workshops, so teaching workshops for people too. So
Wow, you're really busy. So what's the radio station?
it's a local to me radio station. It's in Worcester, Massachusetts, so central Massachusetts, but everything is live streamed on Facebook. So even if
Oh,
you
okay.
don't live locally, you can catch the replay of the show on or watch it live on Facebook Live. So it's 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection. It's called Unity Radio. Again, even if you don't live in central Massachusetts and you don't get that radio station, if you go even on Unity Radio's website, which is wuty.org, you can listen to the radio show because they live stream it on the actual website, but then you can also go on their Facebook and they live stream all their
Right.
shows.
So do you do a weekly show?
Yeah, I do a weekly show on Unity Radio, live in person in the radio station. And I have a wonderful co-host that I work with. Her name's Armida Brew.
Okay. And so when is your show on?
The show
Which
is
day?
Wednesday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, wonderful. I'll definitely tune in.
And then I also have some things published on Amazon. I have some workbooks on Amazon. So if anyone's interested in starting their flow journey, they want to learn more about natural law, I have a 12-month flow coaching workbook journal, and then I have a natural law workbook that helps people really start to understand natural law and see where it's playing out in their life.
Oh, wonderful. I'll definitely put the workbooks in the show notes. It's on
Yeah.
Amazon, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, where can people find you online if they want to work with you?
Yeah, they can come to my website, which is www.prismofbrilliance.biz. I also am on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Prism of Brilliance is my name on all of them. So feel free to reach out, whether you're reaching out through email, you're calling me on my phone because my phone number is on my website, or
Oh,
you're
okay.
reaching out if you're reaching out on social media. Would love to connect with anyone who's interested in learning more or wants some help and a point in the right direction, or even if you want to work with me, I'd love to work with you.
Yes, wonderful. So we have a couple minutes left, and I have a signature closing question here that I ask all my guests. So I'll ask you my question right now. What is your closing message for humanity to help in our collective healing and empowerment?
Hmm, that's such a great question. I think that let me feel it out for a moment. What is
Okay.
my collective message for global healing? That I really truly hope that people, when they're listening to this show or another show, that they're really starting to look inward, and that they're really starting to understand that their internal environment is what is really creating their external world. So if you're starting to be on your own healing path and your own healing journey, knowing that nothing outside of you can control you, and that if a belief system is limiting you, it's not the truth. So that is a ways that you can start to identify those limiting beliefs and those patterns that you hold to start to transform the way that you're moving through the world. And that will allow you to show others how to move differently through the world, because you're not no longer going to be agreeing to things that limit you. And that sometimes can be scary sounding and sound simple, but I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. And so know that you're always supported by that work. You're always supported by so many in form and formlessness, and that you're never alone on the journey, that you're never alone when you start coming to this place to really be awakened and to really start to understand yourself on a deeper level, and knowing that community is always there for you as you're going on your journey.
I love that. Yeah, this is so appropriate for our times, building community and finding our way on our healing journey. Yeah, there's a lot of craziness happening now on the earth plane, but I feel like it's for a higher purpose because we need to look at what the darkness is, right? If we see the darkness, we can change it. If we don't
Mm-hmm.
see it, we can't change it.
Yeah, awareness is really everything. And we're really starting to see the systems that don't work crumble. And they're trying so hard to regain control and continue to have power, but we're just continuing to see them crumble right now.
Yeah,
Because we're aware, because we're holding that collective light, because we're holding that collective intention. And the more of us that can do that, the more of us that can hold that light and hold that space, the better off we'll all be. Because it doesn't need to be all of us.
I agree. And it's a necessity that the old systems need to go away so that the new systems can be born into our
Absolutely.
reality. So I
Absolutely.
just want to add, I know there's a lot of fear in the collective right now, but everything's okay. You know, we're gonna get there. It's just a bumpy ride right now, but we just gotta hang on tight because it's gonna be okay.
It is going to be okay. And knowing that we don't have to agree to that fear. We do not have to agree to that fear. We don't have to operate there. Even though it's coming in, even though you might have that emotion come in, we don't have to agree that we need to live in fear. We can choose not to. Even when it's coming in, we can allow that emotion to process and not hold on to it.
Yeah, I agree because I feel like the energies of these times, they're just kind of like urging us to really stand in our power, to go
Mhm.
within and claim our power. Because for thousands of years, we've been giving our power away to external forces. But now, with the shift in consciousness, I think it's all about going within and emanating that power.
It is. It's all about taking our power back and not giving it away to that fear and
Right.
that love of power versus the power of love. It's coming back to that place of the power of love.
I love that. Thank you so much for
Uh,
joining me today.
and thank you. This was a great conversation. I'm so honored at the opportunity, and I look forward to all of the things that you are going to do in the future. I can't wait to watch you grow and expand. So
Oh,
thank you for the connection.
thank you. Thank you so much. For everybody who's watching and listening, thank you for your time. And until next time, bye for now.